Welcome to the Pilot Approach tutorial. Pilot Approach is made up of three modules: the controls, the instruments, and the approach plates. The instrument panel is a glass panel, but it is still set up like a regular six-pack. The speed tape is in the upper left. Below the speed tape is the ground speed. The attitude is in the upper middle. The altitude is in the upper right. The heading and course, or HSI, is in the lower middle. The vertical speed is in the lower right. The instrument panel also has several useful details you'll need to know. Autopilot details are on the top. The green indicates what is active, the white indicates what the autopilot will do next. The green HDG means the autopilot is following the selected heading. It will always turn the shortest distance to the heading bug. The heading bug is also shown here in teal. The white nav next to heading indicates that the autopilot will intercept the selected course when it is able to make a standard rate turn onto the course. The green Alt indicates the autopilot will hold the selected altitude. In this case, 1,800 feet is selected. In this example, the VS indicates that the autopilot will hold a consistent vertical speed to a target altitude. The white Alt indicates the autopilot will capture and hold the selected altitude once it reaches that altitude. The selected vertical speed is shown here. In this example, the white LOC means the autopilot will intercept the localizer. The white GS indicates that once the glide slope starts coming in, the autopilot will descend to follow the glide slope. In this example, the autopilot is following the localizer and the glide slope. Here is your horizontal situation indicator, or HSI. This shows your heading and overlays your navigation information. Your heading is also shown on the top left of the HSI. The HSI can overlay a GPS course, VOR1 course, VOR2 course, and an ADF. You can switch between each course type by clicking on the tab buttons below the HSI. Selecting a VOR once will turn on the compass locator for the VOR. This will make the VOR behave just like an ADF. Clicking on it again will bring the VOR to the active course. A VOR needle has two arrows on it. The outer arrow shows the set course. The inner arrow shows the direction to the station. In this case, we are flying to the VOR. In this case, we are flying from the VOR. On the bottom left of the instrument panel, you can see important NavAid information. This will show the identifier for each type of NavAid and your distance in DME. On the far bottom left are the approach markers. This concludes the instrument panel. Let's take a look at the control section. The control section is made up of several parts. The first box contains the autopilot controls. The second box is where you control nav frequencies and GPS direct. The third box is where you can control what you say to air traffic control. The fourth box is where air traffic control output goes. Below the fourth box is a timer. This timer will match the speed of the game. It will come in handy for procedure turns, holds, and timed approaches. Below the timer are controls for the speed of the simulation and to turn the game audio on or off. At the bottom of the controls is a pause and exit button. The autopilot seems complex at first, but it behaves very similarly to real-world autopilots. On the top of the autopilot are three buttons. These indicate the lateral goal of the autopilot. HDG, or heading, means to follow a heading. Nav means to follow a course. APR, or approach, is used for tracking a localizer and glide slope. When clicking Nav or Approach mode, it will go to standby mode as shown by the white text here. Your autopilot will capture the course once it is close enough to the course. If there is no course, it will automatically go back to heading mode. If you click the Nav button twice, it will switch Nav mode to active regardless of how close you are to the course. The autopilot will then intercept the selected course at a 45-degree angle. Next is altitude selection. Select an altitude with the plus or minus buttons. You can also type into any of these boxes, but you must press Tab or Enter to apply your input. If on a tablet, then click away from the typing box to apply your input. Your aircraft will not go to the selected altitude right away. You must then go to vertical speed and select the vertical speed just like you did with the altitude. To select a heading, you can use the heading box here. To change your course, you must change it in the course box here. Finally, you have a speed control. You can ignore the speed control if you'd like. Here is a sample turn to a heading followed by a course intercept. Here is a sample descent to an altitude. Here is an example of capturing a glide slope. Next is the Nav Radio box. Your active frequencies are here. This is VOR1, this is VOR2, and this is your ADF. You can use these buttons to switch from standby frequency to active. GPS mode doesn't yet do RNAV approaches, but you can use the direct mode. Next is air traffic control. All applicable requests and replies will be shown in this box. Just click on the action you would like to accomplish. You will be able to listen to air traffic control or read what they have to say in this box. This concludes controlling the aircraft. Let's take a look at the approach plate section. To select an approach plate, click here. This drop-down box will then go to the bottom of the plate if you need to change it again. If GPS mode is on, your plane will be shown on the plate if you are within the plan view. Click on the approach plate to make it bigger. Congratulations, you are now ready to fly the instrument simulator. If it is your first time, it might take you some practice to get things down, but you will get it. If you don't fully understand approach plates yet, please get the applicable ground training. You can do so through online training videos, the FAA Instrument Flying Handbook, or with a flight instructor.